Good Tuesday morning. Things are a little wet this morning, as you can see by all the water under the wet bin. I just banged on it to make sure it was empty, which it is. As you can see by the driveway, we unloaded the last load of beans last night about, I don't know, a half an hour before it started raining. So now I have to drain the beans that are left out of the dryer and get them into the bin and start getting everything switched over for corn. They say later today it's supposed to be clearing up and tomorrow is supposed to be nice, so we will probably be hitting that cornfield across the road first. So first thing I have to do, and I will show you, is I have to grab my bungee cord here. Come on. Alright, I have to take this bungee cord. I have to climb up there in the dryer. And basically I'm tricking the dryer. And I'll explain when I get up here. Oh, bear with me. I know I'm shaking you all around climbing up here. Anyways, I kind of explained this at one time, but I'll explain it again. This dryer is continuous. I have it on continuous flow. You can do either continuous or batch. So this mechanism right here that rocks tells the computer when to kick on the wet bin auger to fill it. So basically, like right now, there's beans in there. So when it kicks on, it comes up the auger and fills in the end. And then there's an auger inside this triangle shaped type top that feeds it down through. These are all individual columns. So it evenly fills it down through. When it gets to here and this thing turns, it tells it to shut off. The dryer has enough in it. Then as the beans or corn heat and go down, it fills it up again. So what I am doing with the bungee cord is I'm hooking it onto it and then hooking it over here so that it's turned, because I need to put it on manual instead of automatic and drain all the beans out of it and let it go. That way, that kind of bypasses, so to speak, the computer telling, the wet bin it's low on grain, it needs to turn on, because when it gets low on grain, when that wet bin gets empty, like it is now, it automatically puts the dryer into shutdown mode, which means the heat kicks off, which we're not going to have on anyhow, and then it goes into a 20-minute dry down, which means, or a 20-minute shutdown, which means the fan, I'm still young enough to climb down a ladder one-handed, which means the fan stays on for 20 minutes to cool down the hot grain that's in there, and then it shuts off, which it obviously did sometime last night. So basically, from, like I think I've told you before, from this point down, and what I'll do is I'll go open the back for you. And of course my phone starts dinging. Someone trying to get a hold of me. From underneath this floor down, so under here down is where the grain cools. Here's where it heats. Yes, it's dark in here, but these pipes, that's your propane, that's your heater back there, which if you go back a couple videos, I did look through the sight glass here and you could see it. You'll really be able to see it when I show it again during corn. Alright, so I'm back in the computer room. When this goes into its, I don't know what you want to call it, sleep mode, it gives you all these interesting sayings from people. And anyways, I gotta go into my enables, turn off my burner cycle timer, turn off my burner, just leave my unload on, and now I have to go to my moisture control and see it's in auto. I have to put it in manual. Now that it's in manual, I can start it and the dryer will start draining. So I come out here, open the big door on the front control, push start, and everything will kick on except for the wet bin auger and the heat. And now it's just going to start unloading and the dryer will drain out completely. Which there's roughly 10 ton in there. I don't know how long it'll take, but we'll find out here. I'll be able to tell you it's 11:08, so we'll figure out when it completely drains out. And as you can tell, when it rains, dry moisture, 27, but it's rapidly going down because it gets a little rain in there. But wet moisture is the same thing. It reads a little high because of the rain, but it's going down rapidly. So we're gonna drain it and start getting everything ready for corn. Okay, quickly, I got the heat on at 160 because the beans with the rain last night and whatnot going through the top of the wet bin, because obviously it's open to fill it. The beans on top were a little moist, so rather than run them straight into the bin moist, I'm just going to let the heat, I shut off the leg so it's not feeding out of the dryer and going into the leg right now. So I'm just going to run it for 20 minutes or so with some heat on it to cook them top ones down a little, and then I will turn the heat off, turn it back on, and drain them out. Alright, I cooked it for probably 15 minutes or so. As you can see now, it says wet moisture 3%. That's because the beans in the dryer are now below that moisture sensor. Obviously they've dropped dramatically from when I first started. What's coming out of the dryer, it says 13.4. It's been bouncing around 13.3, 13.4. 13% is dry. What little bits come, you know, this 9 or 10 ton will mix in with the other ones, so it'll be fine. But so now we're just going to wait for that to drain down, and while I'm waiting for that, I'll go in and start changing all the different adjustments in the combine. We'll see how long this takes to drain. Alright, I got the combine opened up here. I just changed my rotor speed from fast to slow, which is that handle there. You just push it in. I need to change my chopper back here. So you loosen this. Loosen that up. You see how the arrow says pull up? So pull it up. Then tighten that up. Basically, you're disengaging your knives that you had for chopping up the residue from the beans. And I have to open this up, which I need 2 hands, and change this. You can see when it's out. Well, maybe I can get it. Oh, it's kind of a bitch. You gotta push up. All right, so you change all the way out. Was set up for like small grain, wheat and corn. Center is neutral. All the way in is corn. So it's out. So basically that would be neutral. You just saw that turn a little. Now it's in for corn. I'll shut that after the fact. Let me crawl underneath here. I lifted the chopper up so I could get in here. And that's the knife bank that just came out. See them slits? They were up in there for beans, but I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see back here. Let me turn my flashlight on, see if that helps. But anyways, I don't know if you can see those 4 augers up there. There's 4 augers, the grain comes through those, shoots it out onto that shaker pan there, which has got some bean residue, but it'll come out. Then shoots it back onto this top chaffer. I got the light on, but it's still dark in here. Then it funnels down through this chaffer, and underneath it is another one that's similar to this called a sieve. And then when it comes out of that is when it goes into your auger that takes it up to the tank. And back here you have 2 grain loss monitors for when the stuff flows over this and hits those, one on each side. It can tell you what your loss is in the cab, but it comes out that right there on the bottom. I guess I don't need the flashlight anymore. Goes into that auger trough there. Let me open this side up so you can see better. Goes into that auger trough, which this big one here that goes straight up is what takes it into your grain tank. And this thing on the side is your moisture and yield sensor. This thing here, if you were to pull these pins, this would pull out. That's your moisture sensor, and that's your yield monitor. The older style combines had the yield monitor actually in the grain tank, but I'm not going to open these bottom doors and show you what the little elevator looks like in there, because there's grain in there, so it'll all fall out on my floor. But so that's what it does. Ends up in your grain tank, which you've seen. So now I just got to go through and change the different adjustments, like I just changed there on that. Here's one here. Right now it's in the bottom position, or no, excuse me, it's in the top position, which is small grain. So I got to pull this pin. Come on. And it's a pain in the ass to do with one hand to try and pull the pin. There, I got it. Whoops. And all that crap just fell out of there because that dropped that plate up there. Because now we're not running things, woof, dusty, running things through the chopping knives. The only thing that'll be throwing it out are those things there out the back. But I leave it up when I first start so that I can get out and check my cobs that'll be on the ground, and I can look in there, because you can do what they call an emergency shut off. There's a button on your hydro lever up there that makes you go forward and backwards. So when you got the combine full, you can hit that, it stops, the threshing stops, you can get out, you can come around, look in there, and everything is laying where it's laying. So you can see if you got corn going over the chaffer, coming out the back, and whatnot. Inside all these black panels, which you can't see very well because it's dark in here and there's more in there, is your rotor. Maybe I'll show more of that when I actually clean it. I got to drop the feeder house drum down, or raise it, I mean, excuse me. So I got to do that next. Do not have to change this because this has got enough. This is your range to go up and down for your rotor speed. But on the newer ones like this, I can get high enough for beans and I can get low enough for corn by just leaving it in the one position. So same thing with the chain here. I don't have to go back and forth between the big and small chain because I can get the feeder house speed for the head fast enough and slow enough for the 2 different crops. So, and we don't do wheat. Main reason I don't plant wheat is because no matter what, they always find a reason to dock you for it. So I need 2 hands to finish some of these other things, like doing the feeder house drum. So looking back through the video, I guess I could have explained this a hair better. That one is called your tailings return. I mean, I guess I didn't explain it that great because I figured mostly farmers watch this, but I realize some people that aren't farmers watch it. Tailings return just basically means some of it goes back through the system again. If you're basically slugging it too much, I guess you could say, you get some in the tailings and it goes back through. You don't really ever want a ton in your tailings. And that is your clean grain elevator, which takes it up, like I showed you, to the grain tank. So figured I'd clarify that, just because I got to remember I'm not always talking to farmers. So all right, I got to finish this up and then I will bring you back when we get the dryer completely unloaded. All right, I'm back out by the dryer, so it's loud, but you bang on those, you can tell they're empty. So the dryer is just about empty. You can still hear a few of them pinging up there. Still see there's some coming out. Whew, that's dusty. So it's just about empty. It's about noon, so really, with the time I took to heat it for 15 minutes or so. Oh, the lens is dirty. I'm gonna wipe you off now. There you go. The time I took to heat it and then drain it, I don't know, I heated it for 15 minutes. Didn't take much over 40 to drain. And then I'll clean it off a little, get some of the crud off of it from the beans. There'll be a lot more once we start corn with all the bees wings. And you will see that I clean my dryer every morning when we're doing corn. I know a lot of people don't, but I do, because I like it to be clean, because every one of them little holes in that screen, the more of them that are plugged, the less the steam can escape when you're heating it. So I don't know, I just do. Yes, it's a pain in the butt, and it takes, I don't know, half an hour every morning before we start, but I do it. So probably in another, I don't know, I'll let it run another 10 minutes, get it cleaned out as good as possible, and then turn it off, and then set all the adjustments on the dryer. Switched over to corn. All right, that is ready, other than in the cab adjusting all the different adjustments in the computer, but I need it running to adjust my fan speed and all that good stuff from beans to corn, and I'm not going to start it in here, and I'm not going to back it out today, being it's kind of a miserable day. So let's walk back here to the addition. I am going to pull that out, get it all blown off, give it a quick bath, wash it off, pull these off. I never wanted to pull them off again, but I'm gonna, because if I pull them off, both of them, and get it as tight to the sprayer as I can, as you can see with these off, I can get by the grain drill, which means I can back it up another good 8-10 feet, and that way it's out of the way for when we're pulling corn head in and out. Now the corn head generally will stay outside a lot of times, because if we're working 4 or 5 miles away from here, we're not bringing the combine home every day, so it just stays in the field. With the bean head, I tend to like to keep that inside. But all right, I'm standing here, that's the bean bin, and you can't hear beans hitting the sides now from the spinner inside, which tells me the dryer is pretty much as empty as it's gonna get. God, I hate bean dust. And yes, I got a little mess to clean up on the ground here too, because beans tend to escape underneath that bearing on the leg. I got a rag shoved up in there, but I guess I need to shove it up in better. So let's take a peek inside. Yes, you can see the beans are pretty much gone. So therefore we can shut her down. Woo! And we can change everything that we need to change in here for corn. So, dryer stop. Now it tells me that I hit the monitor stop button. That's because we're done. Alright, so go back to this. Now I gotta go to, oh, wrong button. Go to that, see how this says dryer temp limit set for 160. Alright, that's because we were on beans. So now I go to moisture control. I'm going to put it back to auto. Go to grain type. And it tells you, do you really want to change? Yes, I do. And it gives me my choices. So I just moved it to corn. Push OK. Now it tells me corn. My dry moisture target was 14.5. That's because when you're storing over winter, you want it as dry, you know, drier than normal. But I'm putting it back to 15 for now to start, because I do have some corn contracted for fall. So there's no need in over drying that. You have what they call moisture limits. If it gets above 17 or below 13, the dryer will automatically shut off. I do not have them on to start with, because obviously we're going to be dealing with wetter corn to start with. Alright, what is it I wanted to show you guys? No, not this screen. Oh, dryer log. This just shows you all the different things. Like yesterday at 5:53, and the clock is wrong on this, so don't even go by that. But it says no wet grain timeout, and then it goes cool down complete. You can see that was 6:21 according to this, but oh, I know what it was. Okay, yeah, that's where the dryer had already shut off by the time we got back from the other parts, the other fields. 7:08 dryer started. 9:50 is when that told it out there, the thing that I, you know, fooled, which I have to go get, by the way, don't forget that it didn't have any wet grain anymore, and then the cool down was complete at 10:18 last night. So I gotta take my bungee cord off, because obviously I don't want to fool the dryer anymore. Finish setting this up for corn, and we will be ready. So I guess basically this video is probably long enough. We'll just call this the, you know, getting the computer and the combine set for corn and whatnot. And in the next video you will see us doing corn. So thumbs up and all the other good stuff.